Processed meats like sausages, bacon, ham, salami, and hot dogs have long been a fixture in many people's diets. Easy to prepare, satisfying to eat, and packed with flavor. Their intense savory taste, convenience, and association with breakfast, barbecues, or comfort meals make them popular across cultures. But despite their appeal, processed meats are among the most consistently linked foods to serious long-term health problems. These meats are not only high in saturated fat and sodium, but they also contain chemical preservatives and additives that introduce unique dangers not found in unprocessed meats. When consumed regularly, they can contribute to a cascade of health issues ranging from weight gain to cancer. At the most basic level, processed meats are calorie-dense and high in saturated fat. This means they deliver a lot of energy in small portions, often with little to no fiber or beneficial nutrients to offset the caloric load. Saturated fat raises LDL cholesterol levels, which is a major risk factor for heart disease. In many processed meat products, particularly those made from fattier cuts or mixed trimmings, saturated fats can account for a significant portion of the calories. These fats also accumulate easily in the body, especially around the abdomen, leading to an increase in visceral fat, an especially dangerous type of fat linked to insulin resistance, inflammation, and cardiovascular disease. Sodium is another major concern with processed meats. Salt is used not just for flavor but as a preservative, which allows these products to sit on shelves or in refrigerators for extended periods. Unfortunately, this leads to dangerously high levels of sodium per serving, often hundreds of milligrams in just a few slices or bites. Regular consumption of such high-sodium foods puts immense strain on the cardiovascular system, raising blood pressure and increasing the risk of stroke, heart failure, and kidney damage. This is particularly troubling in people who already have high blood pressure or salt sensitivity, where the effects are even more pronounced. But processed meats carry risks beyond just fat and salt. Many of them are cured or preserved with nitrates and nitrites, chemical compounds that help prevent bacterial growth and enhance color. Once ingested, these substances can convert into nitrosamines, particularly in the acidic environment of the stomach. Nitrosamines are carcinogenic, and numerous studies have linked frequent consumption of processed meats to an increased risk of colorectal cancer, as well as other cancers of the digestive tract. In fact, the World Health Organization classifies processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen, meaning there is sufficient evidence to support its cancer-causing potential in humans. The problem is not just with one hot dog or a couple slices of bacon, it's the cumulative impact of regular consumption. In many diets, processed meats appear almost daily: breakfast sausage in the morning, a ham sandwich at lunch, or pepperoni on a pizza at dinner. These habits quietly build up a pattern of excessive saturated fat, sodium, and chemical exposure that contributes not just to obesity, but also to metabolic syndrome, fatty liver disease, and chronic inflammation. The damage is subtle at first, but becomes increasingly difficult to reverse over time. Another dangerous aspect of processed meats is how easily they promote overeating. The salty, fatty, umami-rich flavor profile activates reward centers in the brain, making these foods not just enjoyable but addictive. They pair easily with high-calorie, low-nutrient side dishes. Think bacon with pancakes and syrup, hot dogs with chips, or sausage with buttery biscuits. These combinations create meals that are extremely high in calories and low in satiety, encouraging a cycle of overconsumption and weight gain without true nourishment. Even so-called lean processed meats are not necessarily safe. Turkey bacon, low-fat sausages, or reduced sodium deli meats may appear healthier, but they often still contain nitrates, flavor enhancers, and other additives. They may slightly reduce the calorie count, but the underlying health risks remain, particularly for those who eat these products frequently, assuming they're making a better choice. The illusion of a healthier, processed meat can actually lead to more frequent consumption and greater overall exposure to the harmful compounds. What's especially troubling is how common these foods have become, especially in regions where convenience and cost dominate food choices. In many low-income areas or food deserts, processed meats are among the most accessible sources of protein, despite being far from the healthiest. This creates a public health paradox. Foods that are easiest to obtain are also some of the most harmful when eaten regularly. Over time, This leads to a higher incidence of chronic diseases in populations with fewer healthcare resources and limited access to dietary education. From a broader perspective, the rise in processed meat consumption reflects a troubling shift in how we eat, moving away from whole, minimally processed foods and toward hyperpalatable, shelf-stable products that deliver taste without nutrition. While a single serving of bacon or an occasional sausage at a holiday meal isn't going to ruin your health, turning these items into staples creates a nutritional imbalance that's difficult to correct without major lifestyle changes. Ultimately, processed meats are more than just fatty or salty. They are actively hazardous when consumed frequently. Their saturated fat and sodium content alone would be reason for caution, but the added chemical preservatives, addictive taste, and widespread overuse in everyday meals elevate them to one of the most dangerous food categories in modern diets. Reducing intake of processed meats, or replacing them with whole food alternatives like grilled poultry, legumes, or plant-based proteins, is not just a healthy choice. It's a necessary one for long-term disease prevention and overall vitality. What starts as convenience or indulgence can quietly evolve into chronic harm unless more mindful and informed choices take their place.